Well, the planning actually began in the summer. We started chatting about it, and we have a great committee here between John, Joe, and Fitz, and Martin, and Gary, and myself. We have a great committee here. We spend most of our time iMessaging each other throughout the day about different things. So we're always in contact with one another. And so far, what we have planned, everything's going to kick off on the Friday. Everyone's going to be encouraged to bring their banners again like they did last year.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have music kicking off probably around 7 o'clock with John O'Callahan, who plays in the Irish band Jameson. He's people from Mayo, and anyone who's at the Feile last year, he hopped in for a couple tunes with Raymond, and actually I think did a fantastic job, and actually was playing in the middle of the street around 1 a.m. with the guitar, and his hands were frozen, and we were all, if I don't remember, but we were all singing it outside the plow back home in Derry at 1 o'clock in the morning while I was freezing. So he's going to play the Friday night. So that'll kick off the Friday events. Saturday, we're going to start with another blessing at the National An Gcomhar Memorial, the Irish Great Hunger Memorial, which is right down the street from where we sit right now, probably about 600 yards. We're going to do that. Then we're going to come back to the plow, and we're going to have the U.S. premiere of Paul Larkin's The Asterisk Years, which we're super excited about. And then we have the great part about that is we have the perfect venue because we have an upstairs and downstairs where if we have the crowds that we hope we have, we could actually show the film on 2 large screens.
Fantastic.
To capacity crowds. And then the Q&A, which is going to be hosted by yourself with Paul, which should be some great crack that we're going to do straight after the preview. There's going to be some songs, I think, before the movie kicks off.
Well, hopefully you're going to be singing here.
Yes,
okay.
I'm going to be the person who's going to kick that off, apparently.
Okay, excellent.
The Bold Fenian Men is going to be the song to kick that off. And then after the Q&A, we're going to have Raymond Coleman from County Tyrone is going to kick off the music for the evening. So he's going to play for a few hours, and then we're going to have the Sounds of the Bogside Rogues, which is one of the biggest bands in Philadelphia, Irish bands in the Philadelphia area, and they absolutely are going to blow the roofs off this place. And so that'll be Saturday. We'll be partying here till the wee hours of the morning, and then Sunday it all kicks off with us versus the Sevco at 8:30, and I'm hoping that we score a dozen off them, and the party will really kick off. And then we'll continue the day with, singing and carrying on. And then hopefully the Eagles will be on the Super Bowl on Sunday night.
Yes.
Which would be phenomenal.
Very, very well played there, Seamus. I love it. It's going to be a green and white weekend throughout, and that includes the Super Bowl. So I'm glad that you got that in there. I mean, there was an incredible lining up of the planets for this particular weekend. I mean, the timing and the coincidence of it. And of course, I'm talking about you're going to be hosting the U.S. premiere, the North American premiere of Paul Larkin's The Asterisk Years, like you talked about there. And it also lined up that we're going to be playing Sevco for the first time. But first, what does it mean to yourself that that the premiere of The Asterisk Years is going to be shown at the Philly Feile? And what does that mean to you and to the club there? In terms of just bringing the folks in and lining it up. Again with the circumstances of that weekend. It's absolutely amazing.
I don't think we could have picked a better date. When we were going back and forth with Paul and John Joe about dates that we could make this work, I never foresaw that we'd be playing the Huns on.
It's unbelievable.
On that weekend. I mean, the planet and everything aligned. And, Paul has been to the plow a few years ago. We all met up here, yourself, Fitzy, the coach, the Rev. We had a really nice weekend here in Philly. And, we're really chuffed to bits that Paul decided that he'd want to premiere his movie here in the plow where we've had great times in the past, and to have that here, not only for the Philadelphia Celtic family, but the North American Celtic family in our venue to be one of the headlining events of the Feile weekend is something we're really, really excited about. And all sorts of people have gotten in touch about coming to Philadelphia and being part of the weekend and being there to say, hey, I was there when I saw the premiere of The Asterisk Years here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then the following day, seeing the first meeting between Celtic and Sevco. Fitz, what went through your mind when, as soon as you realized, we're going to have the premiere, which documents 20 years of cheating? That Sir David Murray, you can basically take the knighthood right away from him. He's got the jail lurking around him at this point. The movie that documents the cheating that Rangers inflicted not just on Celtic but on Scottish football, and now all of a sudden we're going to play against their tribute act the next day. I mean, it couldn't get any better than that, could it?
No, and it just proves that God is a Catholic. Obviously, I mean, God is a Catholic. And it shows. So it's all coming down. So,
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautifully and eloquently put. John Joe, anything to add?
It's all Fitzy saying his prayers that he gets a pint with the Pope in the next fall when it comes.
We're going to have to schedule the next Feile for the following year. We might have to have one in September when Pope Francis comes to Philly. We can plan a weekend around that.
We're actually going to send him a shirt and tell him to stop down at Plowboys for a drink.
There you go. Well, just make sure.
All the time it works for us, right?
Just make sure you keep that Diocese Amex greased up. Everything's going to be fine.
And we might we'll buy Frankie a pint. He'll be all right.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy. Absolutely.
It's Graham. When John Joe was the one.
Yeah, I think we're losing him a little bit here. The connection might be a little weak. We'll give it a second and then maybe give him a shout back. I mean, listening in, you can get a sense for what the environment and the atmosphere is like there. I mean, some of the characters that are involved. I mean, if you've been to any of these meetups at any point, you know exactly, sort of what the environment is going to be. I'll tell you, when you walk into the Plow and the Stars, I mean, I'll give you my experience from last year. You walk into the Plow and the Stars, and it doesn't even matter if you've never met somebody ever before. It doesn't even matter if you've never, spoken to them on Twitter or other social media aspects. I mean, everybody just treats you as if, they've known you your entire life, and that's by the end of the weekend. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's just a massive, coming together of Celtic supporters. And, I mean, it's just nothing like it. And you especially don't get that over here in North America, where we just don't have that sort of outlet in mass. I mean, there's some big Celtic supporters clubs, throughout the U.S., especially in the East Coast. You've got 3 massive CSCs in New York. Philly's got 2 now. D.C. has, a nice club that I'm a member of as well. But you don't get that environment where you get hundreds of people just coming together into one particular city. I mean, it's almost like Philadelphia turns into to Celticville for a weekend. I mean, you walk down one side of the street and somebody will see that you're wearing the colors, and they'll just shout over from across the street, Celtic, and then you just get that going back and forth, and people walk down the street and are like, what the hell is going on? I mean, but there's never any bother. You know the score. I mean, it's Celtic supporters. There's never any bother. Everybody's up for having a good time, and it's always endearing for people that maybe are not familiar, with what Celtic is all about, with what Celtic is. Let's not kid ourselves. The EPL is getting much more exposure here just now, but I think we got him back. Seamus, you there?
We're back. Sorry about that.
No problem. Go ahead. You were talking about the planning for the Astor Sears premiere.
Yeah, how everything just sort of lined itself up there, Graham. With the weekend that Paul chose, he couldn't have picked a better weekend for us. But when everything came off that was going to be the weekend, we're still trying to add more to the weekend as much as we can. So we really hope to put on a super show this year.
Excellent. And what I was just talking about, when we were trying to reconnect, was just giving a sense for what the atmosphere and what the environment is like for the Feile. I mean, the one example that I didn't even bring up, which I should definitely highlight, Deco, that you mentioned from before, from the Aurora CSC up in Ontario. He drives 9-10 hours from Toronto proper, essentially, down to Philadelphia. His car breaks down an hour outside of the city. Doesn't even matter. Gets a rental, comes in, both he and Paulie are exhausted, from all the trials and travails of just trying to get to the Plow. They burst through the doors and they just start singing the Celtic song, and the whole bar just stops, turns around, and joins in with them. And it's just like, that's just the entire weekend. It's people that you've never met in person before. Maybe you talked to them a few times on Twitter, and immediately, it's like you've known each other your entire life because you have the connection of Celtic, and that's what I mean. That's the experience that we had, with the Madrid friendly. It's what we had last year. It's what we're looking forward to again this year. And I think that's important for the listeners to know. If you're thinking about coming out and what the environment's going to be like, I mean, you just turn up, and just by wearing the colors, it's you're immediately part of the celebration, that is the entire weekend, and that is Celtic. It's an amazing experience. It really is.
Yeah, and Grant, like one of my favorite things was like early on, like I remember like a Sunday morning, people were in, but you'd have other people coming in off the street for a drink or to eat,
yeah.
And we see the banners up, and they saw us like wearing the hoops and people sing, and they were just like, oh, they loved it. They go, what's going on? So you kind of introduce them to Celtic.
Yep.
And it just, people just, a lot of people coming off the street just love the whole atmosphere too. So it just wasn't, the Celtic family. It was just, I said, everybody coming in, and they just loved it because they said it was just, everything was friendly. There was no problems. It was just a very, very good time, and everybody getting along. And I think, buddy Kevin from the Bronx Boys, he kept saying the best. He just kept hitting his hoop shirt, hitting the bat, saying, "This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about."
Fitz, you're so right. I mean, the best advertisement, the best marketing for this club is our supporters, and that was one of the things that I was highlighting, during the intermission there, where, you're walking down one side of the street and somebody from across the street, that's part of our event, sees your colors, and all of a sudden they just start shouting, "Celtic!" And then, you shout back, "Celtic, come on, you boys in green." And people are walking down the street like, what the hell is this all about? But it's never any bother. It's always very friendly. It's always very welcoming. And that's something that's endearing. Let's not kid ourselves. Philadelphia is not exactly the type of city that has sort of like the velvet touch. But it is endearing when we can see, this sort of relationship that people have to a sporting entity, and it's very endearing. It's very welcoming,
Oh, yeah, listen, I remember there was even one of the cab drivers, a Nigerian guy. He stopped his cab, he blocked 2nd Street during the night, which is very busy, to jump out so he could take a picture with us. Now they jump back in his cab.
Did he do a backflip before he got back in his cab? I don't
remember the backflip, but he just I remember he just stopped traffic.
Might be F.A.'s cousin. I don't know.
He jumped out, and he's like, "Oh, take a picture." So we're taking pictures with him. We had we had the sing song going on outside. Remember, it was about probably 10 below zero.
Yeah.
We were out there singing, and Joe Brooks playing guitar, and it's just a good time, man.
Yeah.
Everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even people going by, like you said, they didn't know anything about Celtic. They just saw the fun we were having. They saw the crack, and they just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, I can absolutely not wait to get back there. This is the second year in a row that I've been there. If you count the Madrid friendly this summer before, this is 3 times now, converging on Philadelphia and Plow and Stars specifically. And I absolutely can't wait. If you're listening and you haven't attended and you're thinking about attending, don't wait, don't hesitate. Seriously, do not deprive yourself of this experience. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Seamus, what's the expectation, for this year? Obviously we're hoping and we're expecting to exceed last year's turnout, last year's attendance. But realistically, what are you expecting? You said that you've heard from people far and wide. I know I have as well. I've heard once again from people from Canada. It's cold enough up there, let alone traveling to Philadelphia to freeze their butts off. But it's certainly worth it. What are your expectations this time around?
I expect this place to be jammed to the rafters.
Yeah.
Specifically Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And everyone comes in Friday, so people trickle in different times. We got down here last year at 6, and by 9 o'clock, the banners were hung, and the singing started. And I'm looking to have, 500 people plus come to Philadelphia in the dead of winter to spend a weekend with the Plowboys and sharing our, affinity and love for Celtic Football Club and one another as the Celtic family. It's going to be truly special. Anyone who's ever been to a Celtic event knows what it means to be